EU fines Mastercard more than €500 million.
Here's a summary of the article.
The European Commission on Tuesday fined Mastercard €570 million for preventing retailers from looking for better card payment terms at banks around Europe. The Commission, which monitors competition, said that Mastercard's rules prior to 2015 forced retailers to pay certain bank fees in the country they are located rather than let them shop around. EU Competition Commissioner Margrethe Vestager said that by preventing merchants from shopping around for better conditions offered by banks in other member states, Mastercard's rules artificially raised the costs of card payments, harming consumers and retailers in the EU. Prior to 2015, the level of these interchange fees varied widely across Europe, but Mastercard's rules at the time required banks receiving card payments to apply the fee set in their home country. On this basis, the Commission concluded that Mastercard's rules prevented retailers from benefiting from lower fees and restricted competition between banks cross-border, in breach of EU antitrust rules, the Commission added. The Commission said the infringement ended after Mastercard changed its rules following the introduction of the interchange fee regulation. The fine would have been higher, but Brussels reduced the amount by 10% to thank Mastercard for cooperating.
This post received a score of 38,150, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Margrethe Vestager for World Supreme Leader please. This lady has bigger balls than most and an integrity like none. And #X200B.
I was on the same cheapo flight as her between Copenhagen and Berlin. It was interesting to see her flying economy with EasyJet after fining Google for $2 billion.
Whereas in the US our top officials fly first class and charter jets because the common people are super scary.
And they don't even have to fine Google to take totally not bribes.
Actually, we do have good officials fly economy. Gary Locke, former ambassador to China, flew economy I believe, and John Huntsman, also former ambassador to China, used to show up to meeting in a bicycle.
In a bicycle? That's frugal.
I know, photo of him on a bike really made him popular in China. Contrast to communist Poles who show up in limos. His daughter got in a bit of trouble, somehow was caught on a photo with a disgraced Chinese Pole's son.
Whoosh. Greater than the fine would have been higher, but Brussels reduced the amount by 10% to thank Mastercard for cooperating. For the rest of my life I'm going to be imagining Margrethe Vestager talking like Robocop.
Robocop mixed with Judge Dredd. Lady has got some steely eyes.
Good on EU. The big payment companies are way too expensive and lock people from their money based on politics. Anti-competitive practices should be punished hard.
Exactly. Mastercard brought up enough examples on how they cannot fulfill the role as a universal payment platform. So this anti-competitive behavior has to be sanctioned to a severe degree.
EU actually has a backbone when it comes to regulation.
The EU's regulation not only does good in Europe, but the rest of the world. The Brussels effect is a process where manufacturers and companies raise their standards globally to comply with EU regulations, as it is simpler, cheaper than having two sets of regulations. A perfect example is Steam offering refunds on games. They had to do it to comply with EU regulation, and opened it up worldwide because of the EU regulations.
And that's why I, a Canadian, appreciate the EU.
Wanna take England's place?
I wrote my master's thesis about this subject a few months ago. I concluded that it would be very likely that they would get fined. Happy to see I was right.
You should save a copy of this article, and anytime you send out your thesis send the article as an addendum with the date highlighted.
I mean, literally 0 people I've talked to require you to actually send your thesis. At most they'll ask a few questions during the interview and all make sure to bring it up smiley face.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.